His arms are so strong over there. Can you bring it up a little bit more? Just in case Beard sits up.
Oh, I'm so happy. I think we've done it.
I know, right? On time, even.
On time. All
Look
right.
at us.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you guys, and happy Tuesday to all of you.
12 days before our in-person event.
Yes.
You want to give them a little PR plug there?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to be at Fat Burger, which is at 825 East 87th Street. We're going to be on the patio. We are set up. We have music by DJ Clay. We're going to sample some Fat Burger food. And it's going to be a good time. So we are really looking forward to it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
A little louder. Gary has this little low grumbling voice, and we're telling him to talk a little louder.
It's like the
So you guys
Lover's
can
Lane
hear
voice
us,
on the
yeah.
radio. Watch out, Keith Sweat. Gary's coming for you.
Keith got a good thing.
Quiet storm. This is Gary. Come from conversations.
All right. Do we have your mic? Looks like we don't. That's gonna
Oh
be
my
important.
goodness. It's behind you.
Thank you. Look at me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Is it on?
Such a cute tush. All right, there we go. All right,
All right.
there we go.
All right. We're
How
good.
about that? All right, guys.
Oh, it's on now. You can hear us clearly. You can see us clearly. Thank you for tuning in to the show. And we have a
big conversation. I think that this one's going to be quite interesting. We're talking about divorce remorse. Now, to be transparent, Gary and I have never been married. Kim has been married and divorced. So we're going to speak from a different perspective, but divorce remorse is what we're talking about.
but a good perspective nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
So divorce remorse would be probably what you think it is. Having filed and gotten a divorce and then later regretting it. For whatever reason, is regretting it. Whether it's a loss of what could have been, whether it's financial hardship, or just, a loss of not doing the things that you're accustomed to doing, like the habits that you had in the house. Which is all totally normal when you've been married, and you have joined households, whether it's later in life. And for me, I got a gray divorce. What's called a gray divorce, meaning you've gotten a divorce after some years and you're over 50. That's called a gray divorce.
Okay.
I learned that when I was going through my divorce, and I quite honestly, I had some. I had been thinking about it for a while, and I finally just pulled the plug because I just thought that this isn't what it should be and what it could be. And so divorce is never, I've had people ask me, well, why did you get a divorce? It's never for like one reason. It's usually, it's like a tree branch. It's like the trunk, there's one thing, and then from there, like it branches off to many different
of things.
Yeah, it does. So, I'm not gonna. This isn't a platform for me to go and spill all my guts about my family. But it is just,
for sure.
Divorce is it's difficult and it's hard on all parties involved. And are there some levels of divorce remorse? Well, certainly there are. I was with the fourth person I'd ever dated, and we were together for many years. We were married for 28 years, and although he keeps saying 29, I don't know where he's getting that from, but whatever. 28 years, and 28 years, and then we were We dated 4.5 years before that. So we were together for a while. And thank goodness we are in a good place now. We have adult children. He's remarried, and everybody is in a good place. And it's so much, it's better now. But still, there was a level of like what could have been.
I mean,
You know?
I think that obviously when people get married, you're taking vows before God and all your loved ones and witnesses and things
Yeah.
of that nature. So I don't think that anybody goes into it, or at least they shouldn't go into it thinking about,
Thank you.
my way out of this thing is going to be. But no, I think that it's something that you think should be forever. And especially if you procreate and you start a family, this is the person that you indeed think that you are going to grow old with. You know what I mean? You think that this is the person I'm going to share my golden days with. I'm going to raise these children
Right.
together. We're going to raise our grandchildren.
Right.
You think about all the
You should.
the beautiful lyrics to every love song, right? You should, absolutely. And so, yes, when the culmination of those tree branches go all the different ways, and it is no longer a tree that looks like this, but more like a weeping willow.
Wait, is Instagram, is it on?
Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Let's try that. No. Did it cut off?
Now it is.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so if it looks like a weeping willow that is just not together, then yeah, I believe that everybody's going to feel some level of sadness. In a way, it's like a death. You know what I mean? Because
It is a death.
you've breathed life into this union that you had, and when it no longer is there, you are very accustomed to your routines, the family unit, the structure. So whether you're thinking like the grass is greener on the other side, or I can't forgive this person for these
Transgressions.
infractions or deep cuts because they won't heal because you keep doing the same things over and over again, whatever it is, that doesn't negate what you wanted and what you envisioned and what your heart really wanted. Sometimes it's like, what does love have to do with it? That song is true. You can love somebody to the end of time, but that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be with that person to the end
And
of
you
time.
can miss them, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to be with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. But back to the real subject, divorce remorse. I think that even, in my life, I've been in long-term relationships and I haven't been married, but that's the closest thing that I have to a commitment. And I too feel like when you invest so much of yourself into someone, you envision what tomorrow looks like. And when that no longer is, there is a level of sadness, like you said. There is a level of, you're not going to fall apart and wither away and crumble and evaporate. But at the same time, hopefully, I won't. But hopefully, there's a way to like forge something to get where you are with your past relationship, where it didn't work out, but this is where we are and this is what we've done. We created some great things, whether they're memories or children, whatever it is, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about this subject, Gary?
I've seen it both ways. I've seen it where, the divorce was, like somebody felt like it was parole, like, oh, I'm free. I've seen it where, a person ran into it and then at some point they realized, there were actually some things about this that I missed that I appreciate now that I'm not in it anymore. I've seen it to where, man, for me, it was very enlightening because I didn't know the level of the dysfunction that existed. Like,
Until you weren't in it anymore.
Well, no, not for me personally, but as a friend to someone who was going through it.
But for them,
right. I didn't know that they had already been divorced and remarried.
Oh.
I didn't know that, that one of the parties had been living with their mother for, 6 months before all of this, before it finally came down. So it was different for me in a lot of different ways. I mean, you talked earlier about people, having that forever stuff, in terms of I want to be in this forever. I think a lot more people don't go into marriage like that. If this doesn't work, I think that, a lot of people have a very pragmatic approach to marriage. Like, I'm going to get 10 years with this one, 10 years with that one, and whatever is left with this other one. So it's different now for people in that situation. The remorse part, I've seen that. I've seen where, again, somebody rushed into it, didn't really think it through. They went through, they did it, or they were reacting to something that they thought or actually happened to them, and then they realized that wasn't really that bad. Or, man, maybe it wasn't meant to be perfect, but, being alone is equally as bad as being together. So,
in some respects, when you are in something and it feels so bad, it feels so daunting, you are looking for that escape route, right? But when you're out of it, sometimes you realize it wasn't what you thought anyway. It was just some really screwed up communication or lack thereof. And people do what people do. They assume. And when you're in something that already doesn't feel quite right, you're human. You may want to assume the worst. Because in the back of your mind, you might be thinking that the grass is green on the other side. People do what people do. The mind is going to take you wherever it wants to go. But being in something and then, in hindsight, looking at it like I really had something special and I let that get away, I'm sure it's not a good feeling for anybody, especially if it's a marriage. That's obviously the ultimate.
And there are other people involved, like kids.
Like kids.
Yeah.
In businesses and whatever else, you had to sever ties with. That's big. It's a loss on all fronts. Whether it's a loss that you needed to make for your own mental health or physical health, whatever it is, but it's a loss.
I think sometimes when people rush into it, they're, because I'm a big proponent of counseling in that situation.
Yeah.
And when
people don't always do it.
Yeah, and when you rush into it or when you're hurt, certain things hurt. And if you are cheated on or, there was some financial improprieties or whatever, whatever triggered you, that cut doesn't hurt as much later. Mm-hmm. And some cuts, or the threat of a cut hurts for a lifetime. Like, we're done, that's it. But sometimes it can be a situation where if you take some of the emotionality out of it through the passing of time, you feel differently about it. And I've seen that happen a lot. And I have friends that are just, I don't want to, they're always going to be somebody's spouse. They're just married, in one way or another. If they're not somebody's spouse, they're moving in that direction. And that's just how they're wired. And I had to ask.
Meaning there are people who just do repeat marriages, they just keep getting married.
They have to be married.
I think they have to be married. I think their level of comfortability is such that.
Are they men?
I don't want to answer that because it could.
Okay.
That information could.
Out of all the people in the world, I wouldn't know who you talking about.
I wouldn't either.
But okay.
That's okay.
But we're talking about America.
All right.
Our little brains.
Yeah. All right.
But yes, there are some that are just going to always be somebody's spouse.
If I could answer that question, I think that works both ways. I think
Yeah.
there's some men and there are definitely some women that feel like they need to be married.
And they're always moving in that direction.
Mm-hmm. And they can find somebody to marry, which is amazing to me.
Well, you tend to attract what you put out here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always get someone to buy into your program if that's what you're putting out here.
Yeah.
Yes. But I do to piggyback off of what you just said about people who are repeat offenders with the marriage thing. That's not what you said, but that's how I heard it. But I do know people like that. As a matter of fact, when my kids were in grade school, and this was many moons ago, one of the dads, I almost mentioned the school, one of the dads in the school, who was married, family unit, boy, girl, husband, wife. All of a sudden, he walks into the school gym with another woman, and we were in this history fair. We're all sitting in the bleachers of parents. We're like this, like, who is he walking? Who is this? And long story short, it was his new wife. We didn't even know he had gotten divorced. We had no idea that he had gotten divorced. So you've gotten divorced and remarried in the blink of an eye. And so when my son had a birthday party at a bowling alley, he was there. He brought his son, who was in my son's class, and he said to me, I'm sorry to throw you guys all off. And we were like, no, I'm sorry to be asking, like,
who's that?
Yeah. So he said, yeah, I just have to be married. He was like, I need a wife.
He was very transparent.
I need a wife.
And he understood his own needs.
He did. He said, I need a wife. He was like, I can't move through life by myself. And I'm finding that when people are and so it seems to me, because I don't want to make a blanket statement, but what I have seen is that when people get divorced, when couples get divorced, the men, mostly it's the men getting remarried first. And because they need that.
And they have so much more to pick from. They do.
That's true, they do. But I'm going to say this as far as like divorce remorse. I think, and I'm changing lanes here, I think that in order to not feel remorse and not to sit in your gloom for people who are, I think it's important not to romanticize a relationship that you really never had or didn't have for long. So you may think in your head like, oh, this is the way it's going to be. We're going to go off and live out our golden years. But if you weren't even living in your 30s and 40s and living well and being kind. And I'm not just talking about myself. It is important not to romanticize.
Are we talking about romanticizing the relationship that you lost?
It's important not to romanticize what you had in your home. To think that, it could be so perfect. So when we become empty nesters, or when we are finally alone, or, I'm sorry I got a divorce because it could have been this way instead of what it
the
really
reality
was.
of what it is.
Absolutely. That's not clear?
Not really. I probably lost it somewhere.
Okay.
But in the respect of divorce, I think romanticizing is what people do. That saying, time heals all wounds. It also makes you forget shit too. Like you may forget all the pain, and you'll be sitting back thinking about, but that Valentine's Day, and you start to romanticize the relationship that you really wanted with that person.
So that's what I'm saying. That's exactly.
But I'm talking about after divorce. I think you were talking about like in the marriage.
Oh no, I'm saying in order to get past a feeling of remorse and a feeling of sorrow and feeling of gloom, like, I shouldn't have, or starting to doubt yourself. I don't know what's going on with Instagram.
It won't stay on.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
I've tried. Yeah. It's gonna be so choppy.
It's gonna be very choppy.
Yeah.
And so, for the IG people, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna put that out there, but I don't know what's going on. It's not staying on. It's always something. My goodness.
This is the first time.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had a problem with IG.
We get there.
But I think so. You ever watch those reality shows where they have confessionals and it's one person sitting at the camera telling their perspective and their point of view?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know you know. You're the queen of reality shows. So
I'm guilty.
that's in order for you not to feel, what I'm saying is, in order for you not to feel divorce remorse and not to feel sorrow and sit there and just kind of like ruminate on things that would never happen, it's important to think about what it really was. You really didn't have this great relationship, as great as you thought it was, or it probably wouldn't have landed in divorce court.
Yeah.
I think too many times we aspire to the level of perfection, and I don't think that that's really realistic. You're going to have ups and downs in any relationship and a lot of in-betweens. And when we we talk about things aspirationally, everybody wants the romance where you come home and they sweep you off your feet and you fall in love with them all again every single day. But in reality, man, you try to in a week have 4 good days and 3 other days, and that's kind of how I've seen them work, and I've seen people kind of set it up to where they go to that they want that perfection status, and then they realize that it's actually work and you have to reinvest every day and you have to do all of these different things, and then they make a reaction to say, well, I don't want to do this is not what I want, I'm not getting the perfection that I think that I deserve or need. And then they realize that everybody kind of goes through some stuff, and maybe what they went through wasn't so bad. I remember a family member was going through some stuff, and she talked to my mom about it, and I said, don't ever talk to my mother about it, because my mother hasn't been through anything. My mother has somebody that does everything that she says. She loves it. It's beautiful. And at the first sign of danger, my mother was gonna bolt or tell you to bolt. And that's not necessarily always the right information. There are times when you should definitely leave, but you also shouldn't ascribe to that standard of perfection. And when you don't get that, or the reality sets in that it's perfect at times and not and very imperfect at others,
Yeah.
that you don't, I guess basically what I'm saying, you shouldn't set yourself up to fail. And I've seen that remorse where people did ascribe to the perfection standard, and then they realize that's not going to happen. Then they made a reaction, and then they realized, well, hold it, maybe I might have been a little hasty.
Let me ask this. IG is tripping. Love is a behavior. Love is a choice. Love is action, and love is your everyday quest to be together. It just doesn't happen. It's work, right, in relationships.
Absolutely.
And so, and like you said, it's not going to be perfect every day, and that should be expected. But when you are at odds, you have to learn how to fight and argue in love, right?
And fight fairly.
And fight fairly. Well, that's in love, right? Because it would be unloving if you were fighting unfairly. So you have to have at least in your mind what you're fighting for. You need to be fighting for the goal of resolve and not the goal of being right. And I think that's what happens a lot of times in relationships and marriages and friendships. People need to be right. And that need supersedes the relationship, the friendship. It even can go over the love, you know what I mean? And before you know it, now you're so upset you can't even navigate in love. You can't do it anymore. So yeah, it's never gonna pan out if you can't be aligned.
And as it relates to divorce remorse, that person realizes all the things that you're talking about
After the fact.
Right.
Right.
And then it's like, how do you put that back together? I mean, I was shocked when a friend told me that he and his wife had been divorced 3 times.
They got back together and married and divorced and married and divorced and then married and divorced again.
Yes.
Are they still married now?
Not at all.
Are they even friends? Maybe.
Describe friendly.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, what does friendly look like to you?
Well, I'll say this: I don't know anybody
That's unique, by the way.
who's married.
I have multiples.
Oh. Wow.
Not the 3 times, but I have at least 3 that have done it twice.
So they had divorce remorse apparently, and they tried it again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody like that personally. Do you?
Who have divorce remorse?
No, his situation where that person kept marrying the same person over and over again.
Yeah, I do.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not 3 times, but twice. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
And are they still together?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it does happen, and I know of someone who is, sexually active with her ex-husband, and I don't. Yeah, that's to each his own. But to get to your point, I don't know anyone who's married who goes into it or who feels who's been married or married longer than 7 years. Because if you've not been longer than 7 years, I mean, I'm just like, you're still, to me, in your honeymoon phase and still figuring out, like, you know, your habits and what each other likes and idiosyncrasies and things like that. But I think no one thinks it's going to be perfect. We all know it's ups and downs. And no one has this, you know, I'm going to go skipping off into the sunset with rainbows and, you know, poppy fields idea. Everybody I know will literally say this shit is work. It is work, and it is not for the weak. And you have to. It is loving. It is, some days you don't like your spouse, but you still love them, and you still want the best for them. Some days it is, you know, he gets on my nerves, but I want to make sure he has balanced meals because I want to make sure he's healthy.
Yeah. Because
this is my guy, and vice versa. So it's days like that, and it's also it's also filled with a lot of, you know, like when you're married for a while, there are times where you contemplate divorce, or I just like, this is just too much for me. But then you think about the little faces that are in your house, like, you know, and they need the unit. They're accustomed to the unit. They deserve the unit. So, or what you think your unit should be.
And then there comes the guilt for the parents. Yeah.
And then there comes the guilt. So, you know, I'll say this too, because you develop a network, as you know, when you have kids, and you went from the other moms and from social groups.
Yeah.
Yes, your village, from social
the
groups,
neighbors.
from the neighbors. Yeah, the schools, the preschools, grade schools, high schools. You have and you don't want, if you've been wearing a ring all this time and you have a unit, then all of a sudden you don't, then it's a sense of, oh, what happened? She's not wearing her ring.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh my goodness. So then people are all abuzz, and that plays on you too. So you start, and then as you age, you start to think, well, I don't really give a damn what people think. You know, you start to, this is my life, and whether I have on a ring or not, whether I'm married or not, this is my life.
So I agree with you on most of what you said, except the part that everybody goes into it not thinking that things are going to be perfect. Because I do think that immature people get married. And I think they shouldn't think that everything, you know, is going to be wonderful all the time. But people do. That happy wife, happy life thing, some women really believe that. And to your point, some people do go into it and they say, this is my first husband. You're like, what? Meaning like there's going to be a second one to follow.
Yeah,
you know, and that's not very mature either. You know what I mean? But people do go into it thinking like, this is what I'm going to get from this marriage. And then when I get all that, then I'm going to marry the person I really want to be married to. And I found that out from my daughter's generation, right? I had never heard that before, but this is a mindset. Mm-hmm. Before kids, they don't even have children. So, that exists. So
I think a lot of people go into
difference.
It with that perfection standard, and you know they you know, how many times have somebody told you, well, I thought once we got married that this behavior would stop or not exist, and these were some people that I looked up to a little bit. I thought, you know, they really had a firm handle on, you know, how things work, and people tend to show you the parts that they want you to see. Mm-hmm. You know, people are not going to tell you, oh, it's horrible every day I come home and, you know, I thought about poisoning them last week. You know, nobody's going to tell
that pillow when he was asleep.
Right. You know, they
package of arsenic.
You know, they tell you
arsenic.
They tell you that you get that version of the story when they need you to put some money on the GoFundMe for their lawyer. So you know, that's when you get that part of the story. You got to really be somebody's ace for them to be like, every day is just miserable. It's like a weight. It's like an anvil almost. People don't tell you that. And, you know, you thought you were close to these people.
Yeah.
But they tell you that information when they have to. Because, I mean, my advice to anybody that's getting a divorce, if they come to me for counseling, Have you tried everything? You know, she seems cool to me. And then I usually get the, you don't have to be married to them. I'm like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. Let's. And then you get the story of how the 3 marriages to that same person. Then you get the story of how they looted the bank account and did this, that, and the other. Then you get the story about, that one party cheated with somebody else that was in the wedding party. Then you get that part of the story. But most times people are not sharing the horrible with you unless you are that person's ace.
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's any remorse after those kind of infractions, but
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised at the things that people. Because when you get back out here,
that part's true too.
When you get back out here, you
hard.
realize it really wasn't that bad.
They can make some more money,
right? They swung a rake at you, not a bat or a stick. You know what I'm saying? It was just a rake. It was all slow. No, this dude had a sword or a gun or whatever. Right. So no, they get out here and they realize that the grass may be green on the other side of the fence, but the water bill is also higher. So you get out here, you find out it ain't all sweet. It ain't like that. It's not.
I think the worst thing is when your marriage dissolves, or your long-term relationship dissolves, and it's not something like that. It's not something detrimental like that. It could just be somebody has some hurt feelings over something, and then you get out here and you're like, it's just a bunch of shit out here. You know what I mean? Like, what in the world? Did I talk it out? Did I do all the things? And I think people probably feel like, I could have done a better job.
Hopefully they.
I'm not just saying it doesn't happen, but I also, as far as like divorces that I know, I don't know anybody who's gotten divorced over like something trivial.
Girl, one time I can't.
No, I said divorces that I know.
Yeah, it's true, right? I was about to tell the whole story, but somebody got divorced over. It was.
How long were they married?
17 years.
Over some little hurt feelings?
No, it was
You're
literally.
killing me. You're like,
I want to say it all. Right? How can I say
without
it? Somebody was making a training payment basically, and it didn't go through, and they were like, and then right then and there they checked their account and saw that the money had just literally been moved, so that they no longer had access to their joint money. And the quote was, then I think I'm going to have to call a divorce attorney. And I thought it was just like
a reaction.
Words, right? Reaction. Just a knee-jerk reaction. And lo and behold, the next day she had a lawyer, and before you knew it, they were in divorce court, and boom, bada boom, they were divorced.
From that one event?
I'm sure.
Was that just the straw? That she just, because there were other financial
I'm sure there were things in their marriage.
Because that just doesn't, sounds like some piece of the puzzle.
I'm sure there were things.
But I think to what we would consider to be a rational person, that's not an appropriate reaction to an action.
Exactly. But it was just like,
it could be. It could be. If you are married to someone who is
controlling and
constantly doing financial underhanded BS with money, yeah. So like if you were, there's a fly in here. I'm just like, it's driving me nuts. So if you're married to someone, for instance, who can't seem to keep a job, and I want to be very clear, this was not my situation. But if you're married to someone who can't seem to keep a job, and they're with you, and then their spouse calls or texts and says, I just lost my job, and then you hear her say, well, I guess I'm going to have to get a divorce. That to you may sound like, well, that's ridiculous. But you know that the woman knows that she's been round and round, and he's, within the past 2 years, has lost 29 jobs. Not an exaggeration.
He ain't even stay there 3 weeks on
Yeah.
each job.
So
29 to
this is-
24 months.
2 weeks of
So I do know this too. Like this, this can happen. So to you, it may sound like just because he lost his job, you divorce him. But no, what you don't know is the backstory. Is that it was a divorce because he can't help. He's not a provider. He's not pulling his weight.
I can't trust him. I can't trust him. I mean, I'm.
Well, this person made up $500,000, so that wasn't the problem. But yeah.
Well,
But I mean, if they were controlling the money or
If there
doing
was-
other
Or
things,
controlling you
could
through
just
the
get
money.
they
away.
were doing other
Right.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, it's. I think
It
it's
just
normal.
seemed very rash. Is what I'm saying.
And I think it's normal for us to look at it, and it's like a movie. You see this hour and 30-minute segment,
Right.
and you don't know all of the stuff that led
Right.
up to
You
it.
don't know the backstory.
You need the prequel, the sequel, the making of. You need all of these different things to truly put everything in the movie in context. But I mean, I've witnessed some people do some things that I thought were rash over some very small and minor infractions.
But we don't know the.
And
other
to Kim's
factors,
point,
right?
I don't know the 15 other times that it happened, or
Right.
the 30,000 other times that it
Right.
happened.
And they were just like, damn it, that's the last straw.
That's the one that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So let's talk about Sunday, September 14th.
Yes, we are going to be at Fedburger, 825 East 87th Street.
825 East 87th Street. I'm his loud interpreter. Go ahead.
from 3 to 6 p.m.
Yes.
We will see you there. We cannot wait to have these in-person conversations. We have had the whole summer off. You guys have been busy. Chicago is really hard to do stuff in the summer. Chicago is just that city.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Chicago's the best city in the world. So
We're going to have DJ Clay. We're going to have food from Fatburger. And we're going to have some interesting conversations.
interesting, is it?
I haven't had that burger in
Right.
decades, and I am looking forward to having
A vegan shake.
a vegan shake. Well, I also want, because I'm not a vegan, I also want like a half of a chicken sandwich and some onion rings.
All things we can make happen.
Hercules. So, at any rate, join us. Even if you don't like vegan shakes or onion rings or chicken sandwiches,
Come
there
out
is
for the
something on that
conversation.
menu I'm sure that you can eat or you will enjoy.
You will
So-
enjoy the conversations.
and
with
you'll
us.
enjoy the conversation. So come and join us Sunday, September 14th, and it will be on social media. You're going to get prepared to be sick of us with all the flyers and the information, because so many of you have been asking, when are you guys going to do the in person?
all the time.
So listen, we have given you a time, date, venue, all that. So
And-
we expect to see you
Yes.
in full force. And the venue is outdoor on their beautiful patio. And it is a covered venue. So even if,
It's red and white. It's gorgeous.
yeah. It is beautiful. Even though it's red, it's beautiful. It's a nice little space, I will
Lovely.
say. Even
All
though
right,
it's red.
guys. We cannot wait to see you then. What do you have to say here in conclusion?
I'm looking forward to seeing you all. We have really missed you all. We wanted to really do some things this summer, so we are going to take advantage of this last one, and this is going to be nice.
Yes.
It's not our last in person. It's just our
No.
Last- for the
It's our
for the
first
summer.
one.
It's
For the
our
summer, right.
because we've been on a hiatus. So the summer hiatus is
in-person
over.
hiatus.
Over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So join us on Sunday.
As life slows down.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
That what the heck?